Welcome, everybody, to PinstripeChronicles podcast. I am Tats. I'm here with Donald and Rob. And the Yankees, as the ladies discussed on Sunday, brought in another international signing of Roderick Arias. And shortstop, 17 years old, highly touted amongst all the scouts and amongst the teams. The Yankees were able to get him for $4 million. Might be a little shy of the $4 million mark, but $4 million is what's being reported. So the question that comes to mind is, are they focusing too much on building up the prospects within the infield and not enough with the pitching staff and the outfield depth? That seems to be thinning out in the minor leagues as players are getting called up. Do you think that a guy like this is what the Yankees was it desperate for them to have to do this to make a move while everything else is going stale? Or do you think that this is something that's really going to benefit the Yankees going forward?
You can never say no to talent. Rob, sorry, I was going to say I don't think he can say no to talent. Plus, he's only 17. What we know about Arias is he's the number one international prospect, and we got him. So when you get, you never turn down the opportunity to sign number one prospects of anything. You don't know what's going to happen down the line. What the Yankees are doing is accumulating assets. You accumulate all the assets, and then you can see what you have. I mean, remember, he's not going to be anywhere close to major league ready for minimum 4 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what we're doing is accumulating assets. You don't know whether some of our infield prospects will be packaged in trade. You don't know whether some of them might have moved around the infield. So there's a lot of options that are provided. And that's all the Yankees are doing. They're accumulating assets and accumulating options. Rob?
No, you're right. No, I mentioned it before because his name has come up, a year ago at least. We were talking about the Yankees getting this guy. And it just makes too much sense to bring him in. There was a couple of years ago that was brought up on Twitter that the Yankees – they spent big 1 year in the international market and missed out on guys like Tatis and Soto the next year. So at this point, now that you don't really have that cap of what you can spend, or the Yankees are spending it wisely, if you have a guy like Arias available, you go and get him and you worry about it down the line. If he doesn't work out, then, it costs you $4 million. It's not going to, it might seem like it these days with the Yankees way they budget, but it's not going to break your bank or anything like that. And the Yankees have so many infielders that they should probably trade one of them. But, there's been talk about Sweeney moving around, maybe to the outfield. So that would potentially open up a spot. In a perfect world, you could have an infield made up of all of these top guys. Even if Sweeney moved to first base, Arias plays second, Peraza plays third, Volpe plays short. Who knows? Maybe that's the future of the Yankees infield in 10 years down the line. But it's just a wait and see game, but there's nothing wrong with signing the top international player. I mean, the guy's got plenty of talent. Scouts love him. Why not?
They could move some to the outfield because that's the thing. You could certain infielders that have a great arm and speed, you could possibly look to develop as outfielders in the future. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that options are being provided. Plus, the Yankees. What they're best at right now, which isn't very many things, let's be quite honest, but they're one of the best things that they're at right now is their scouting on the international market is elite. That's what they're known for. They take great pride in it. They're excellent at scouting the international market, and they've developed a ton of good prospects from that area. So the international market is very profitable for them. And they've found good talent. Hopefully, for instance, Luis Severino, he's going to be probably be our number 2, number 3 starter this year. We've managed to scout him. We found him. We found a bunch of really good guys internationally. So I think that's what the Yankees' strength is right now. I'm not sure whether Arias will be our shortstop in the future, but he will definitely be a possibility down the line to be part of the Yankees, whether it's third base, maybe second, maybe short. We'll see.
No, the Yankees have been very good over the last, I would say 10 years, when they've really been able to almost master the ability to in the international market and getting really reliable players. And the other twist on it is to put a more positive spin on Arias is the fact that you're seeing Cashman getting a backup plan to his backup plan. So if everything with we don't know what's going to happen with Torres, what position he's going to play. And we have the hope that Volpe or Peraza, are able to shore up the infield. And if that doesn't pan out and we need to move those guys for a trade, we still have somebody else behind those guys. So I think that this is actually a very wise move from Cashman when you break it down into when you're going into the backup plan depth. Cashman's been very good at that. Even with the pitches, we used to think we didn't really have any pitching depth, and then you look at, Luis Hill and, guys like that were coming up. Loizaga is supposed to be a starter, but he's found his niche in the bullpen. So they've been able to really work this international market and be able to build their team when the options within the league weren't available. And I think that that's a very good strength from Cashman to have, especially in days like this where there's so much uncertainty.
Well, with that in mind, we can play fantasy baseball future 2025, right? 2026. Dominguez, Volpe, Cabrera or Peraza, and Arias. You could be looking at these guys as Yankees, or Sweeney playing first base, or in other words, we got talent. We got talent there, and so we can play fantasy baseball and imagine down the line that the Yankees have exciting talent that we could put out there. It certainly gives us hope for years to come.
Yeah, the all prospect team looks really good, but the issue with it is, if you can call it an issue, is they're far away. A lot of these guys aren't ready this year. Maybe a couple of them. Peraza and Cabrera are probably the closest to major league ready that we have, and from the offensive side of the ball. But that's fine. Dominguez is going to rise up the ranks fast. He's going to be, I would think, at least AA by the time this season ends. Maybe even AAA.
They already announced that.
So?
Yeah, I think so. They already announced that Volpe is going to start in AA. They made that announcement.
Oh, really? I was hoping he'd get to work with Balkovic, but
yeah, but we'll see. Who knows? She might rise through the ranks a lot faster than we think. So, she's got 4 years to figure it out while Boone, screws us all up even further.
I'm down with that.
The other two international signings, I don't have the names, but they also brought in 2 catchers, which I thought was interesting, that they're also building up the catchers depth. And that's another position that, you really need you need players that are defensively sound. And especially with what we've seen over the last few years with the ups and downs, more downs from Sanchez, I know they're going to be bringing him back this year. Do you think the pressure of people behind you can elevate a person's game, or is somebody like Sanchez going to crumble from it?
I think he's on his last year with us no matter what. I think the fact that the Yankees missed their chance to get a couple of guys that were available, at least so far, like Tucker Barnhart would have been a perfect addition for us if we wanted to go a new route of catcher, but he got moved to Detroit, I believe. So we have catching depth. Actually, I think Fangraphs put Austin Wells as an outfielder because his defense behind the plate just hasn't been very good.
It hasn't caught up, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he's a guy that gets potentially switched before he gets higher up the ranks in the minors. But Antonio Gomez is a guy that people are talking about a lot behind the plate, and we just brought in a couple of more. So we still have guys like Siegler. He actually might be gone now, but we've had catching depth. It's just a matter of which one works. We were hoping it was Sanchez. It looked like that for a little bit, and then they kind of screwed him up. So you just kind of find the right one. Thing is, he doesn't really have to worry about what's behind him right now because it's Higashioka. That's really it. That's his only competition at this point. And Higashioka is clearly the better defensive catcher, but you're not going to start him every day over Sanchez if you need the offense. However, Sanchez hasn't really provided that offense consistently. So he doesn't, if they're not giving him a reason to worry, he's not going to worry. That's the thing. They haven't brought in anybody for him to be like, my job might be in jeopardy here. Had they made a move for a catcher, like a major league kind of guy, then yeah, he might feel some pressure to get back to that level he was, not necessarily 2016, 2017, but 2019, where he was an all-star. But if there's no reason to feel pressure, why are you going to feel the pressure? They haven't.
I'm depressed enough with no baseball and no chance of any Yankee signings for at least another month or possibly two, without talking about Gary Sanchez for a Tuesday morning. I can't do it anymore. So we'll talk about something a little bit more positive. I've got the scouting report for Roderick Arias, because if I have to even think about Gary Sanchez one more minute, then I might explode. I really cannot stand him. Okay, so got here. He says Arias is an extraordinary talent, according to MLB Pipeline scouting report. He already is our number 5 prospect, behind Volpe, Dominguez, Peraza, and Luis Gil. And here's the scouting report on Arias from MLB.com, Jesse Sanchez. Top prospect in the class. Arias has plus arm potential. His throws are accurate and effortless, and he's always in a position to make them. Shows good footwork and soft hands and above average range. At the plate, he exhibits above average bat to ball skills, great strike zone awareness. He shows good plate discipline, doesn't swing and miss often. He shows power from both sides of the plate, especially from the right side. There's good opposite field power. And the overall package could develop into a plus hitter. So he's already in our top 5 prospects. That's why the Yankees signed him, man. So plus power potential, that's big time. I love that idea that he hits for power and he doesn't strike out much. And it sounds like he's very good defensively too. So what an exciting prospect, man. So if there's something to be excited about down the line, it's about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, we've been told to be excited about a lot of prospects that just remain prospects, and they get buried in the minor leagues. They get used in they're misused in the major leagues when they get called up. So I think it's still early to start all jumping through hoops, but it's definitely something to look forward to. But I don't want to get too overly optimistic that this is the guy that this is the next big star that's going to come up through in the Bronx. So it's really hard to say. It's hard to get too excited, but it's exciting to see that they actually brought in somebody of his caliber. I'll leave it at that.
No, I'm excited. I'm the absolute opposite of you on this one. I'm thrilled we got him. And I am looking to the future right now because baseball isn't giving me a reason to look to the present. So
exactly. Thank you, Rob.
I have no reason to not look to the future right now. And if it is at the minimum 4 years down the line when he hits the age of 21, because nowadays we're seeing a lot more players come up, at the age of 20, 21, when we didn't really see that. Juan Soto kind of started that whole thing. He's coming up, or Bryce Harper. And we're seeing a lot of guys that are like 18 years old, 19, and they're coming up and they're mashing at the major league level. It seems to be easier now to move up faster than it once was. It's not an easy thing to do. Not everyone's going to do it, but I'm not saying Arias is going to be up in 2 years along with Dominguez, but it's possible that 3-4 years down the line, we have Dominguez, Arias, Volpe, Peraza, potentially. I don't want to say all those guys, but maybe even a Sweeney. Everson Pereira is another guy that's young in our minor league system that's got a lot of high praise. So, yeah, there's a lot of names out there that are they all going to work out? Probably not, because it rarely ever does. But where a guy like Arias, I mean, this is the top player on the market, and we got him. And the Yankees are still able to flex their muscle somewhere, and I'm glad that we're able to do it, because it's not happening in free agency these days. At least when we want a guy like Correa, it's not like we can snap the finger and get him like we used to. But it's good to know that when there's a top market guy out there in the international market, the Yankees can be like, we want him, we're going to get him, because a lot of those players still see the Yankee logo and they know what the Yankees are and they go, I want to play there. So if the Yankees still have a name, we talked about that before, has the Yankee luster kind of died? Not in the international market, because a lot of these guys, they want to come play for the Yankees or want to come up at least through the Yankee system.
Do you
exactly? God damn it, Tats! Get excited.
We haven't heard that in a while. I want to put another spin on this with the current free agent market. Does the fact that they're still able to shop, the owners can shop in the international market, would that leave a sour taste in a free agent mind? That, how come I got to sit down and sit and wait and worry about when I'm getting paid, and because they haven't been in the system yet, these international guys can get their contracts?
Why?
Do you think that's bad for? Does you think that's bad for business?
They're not registered as part of the players' union.
What doesn't piss the players off at this point, right? Like, everything's getting them angry. They're mad at each other for everything. Someone chewed gum loud in the meeting, they're going to use it against them. That's what it's going to be like. They keep arguing, a little brats. So you know what? If the owners want to go and get their international players, and let them go do it. And if the players want to go play golf, let them go play golf or something. I don't really know at this point. I honestly don't care. If we get a minor league season, I'll be watching that, because I am highly doubting we get a major league season started on time.
The only thing you can access on the MLB website is anything to do with international markets, because they're the only players that are not registered with the player union, so it's not an issue. But it just kind of shows how petty this whole thing is, that all the players are scrubbed out, they're blanked out. All the registered players as part of the player union, or registered major league players are scrubbed out. And all we've got on the website of MLB are international prospects or minor league names that are not affiliated as such to major league rosters. So it's wild, the situation we're in, and from what I'm hearing, I don't think we're going to get baseball anytime soon. The best we got hope is that when we get to February and we get to really close to pitchers and catchers, there might be more of an urgency to escalate negotiations. But right now, there's a holding pattern. They're both waiting to see who blinks first, and there's going to be a long few weeks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where just to have sports to watch, even though it's the off season, even I was watching a little bit of football the other night, watching Dallas implode, which made me very happy. And that just shows just how frustrated some fans like me are, that we just, even if we're not watching the games because it's the off season, we still want headlines to discuss. We still want to be able to, go to work and sit around in the lunchroom and just, BS about, oh, did you hear that, this team signed this guy? We kind of take that for granted, especially over the last couple of off seasons where it's been so drawn out. It's gotten us frustrated, but at least there was that any day now, the signing could actually happen. And now we're just sitting there, just twiddling our thumbs. And it's just really starting to get to me.
I can see that, Tats. You've gone bald. You've lost all your hair, Tats. It's the stress of baseball, the stress of the Yankees.
Yeah.
It's a joke. We're going on 2 months now of a lockout, and every time that we hear about a potential meeting or when we get one offer made by one side, it says immediately the first thing that comes out is the players weren't thrilled. Of course they weren't. So the players are going to come up with a counter offer in like a week or so, and owners are going to say no, we don't like that. And then once they start losing money, when spring training is supposed to start, and they start losing money, then they're going to start to panic and they're going to hash out a deal. And then we're going to have this complete chaos of free agent signing to get to spring camp or whatever. And it's going to be an absolute madhouse for a couple of weeks when action does resume. But it's just such a bad look for baseball.
Yeah,
and the worst
other thing,
that's precisely what's going to happen. It's going to be like a mad dash scramble as soon as baseball reopens, and they'll probably give players like 2 weeks or something of increased training, and then during that period, front offices will be going about mad trying to make mad dash signings, and that's precisely why I wanted the Yankees to have gotten some work done prior to the lockout, prior to this mad dash, because it's going to be wild. And it's not like there's any secret tapping up going on right now. No one is allowed to contact anyone. So, you know what I mean? It's not like the Yankees have got some works in the pipeline, for as soon as baseball reopens. Nobody can do anything. So it's a holding pattern for an unknown period of time. Yeah. So it's kind of a real mess, especially considering the Yankees have so much rebuilding that needs to be done. They have a lot of work to do, and they're going to have to enter this mad dash scramble to rebuild their roster. I'm not convinced they're going to do it, so I think the Yankees will probably just have more of the same from last year. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and just to go off more of what Rob was saying, it's once we're supposed to start to get spring training games, not only are you losing all those ticket sales, for the in-game experience, but eventually all these networks are going to want to get involved too and start putting the pressure on, because they want to get they want content to air on their airwaves.
Great point. That's what's going to be what might increase the urgency for negotiation.
That might break the camel's back with all this, this stalemate is when you get money. ABC, Fox, all these networks that are losing money, and never mind, all these teams have their own networks.
Exactly, the regional network.
So, you're going to see, Yes Network and SNY here in New York and whatever markets are otherwhere. And then you got, ESPN, the MLB network itself, is losing money. So,
good.
Yeah. But eventually they're going to want to start putting the money back in their pocket, and they're going to put the pressure on Manfred and Tony Clark to, figure this out, because otherwise, you're screwing up our programming, and it's just going to cause more tension within the sporting pipeline.
That's 100%. It's nothing to do with the fans. They don't care about the fans. But as soon as it starts affecting the owner's bottom line, and Manfred's bottom line, that's when you'll probably see negotiations escalated.
Tony Clark might be the luckiest man in the world, because Rob Manfred is such a piece of garbage, and it makes him look somewhat decent. But Tony Clark is just as much to blame for all this as Manfred.
Absolutely.
But nobody talks 100%. About it because Manfred's such a piece of garbage. But Tony Clark, he should get a lot of this blame too, because he's very bad at his job. And it's been evident the last few years, and we've been having these disputes before every season. 2020 was in jeopardy. And even last year, there was a little bit of a delay for when things were supposed to start. And this year, again, we had a lockout, and it's going to be another ugly start to the season. So Tony Clark is public enemy number 2, I guess, right behind Manfred. They both suck. And I'm
it's 1 and 1A if we want to be really be honest about it.
1A, 1A, whatever. Just put them right next to each other. But Manfred's such a sneaky little bastard that it's kind of hard to put Clark on the same level. But I hate him.
Let it rip, Rob. Let it rip. My apologies. My apologies.
Well, Manfred has this habit of putting his foot in his mouth, and Clark just doesn't even open his mouth. Yeah, so
I know it would be a fun podcast. like top 3 biggest crimes ever committed on baseball by Rob Manfred. I think that would be it.
There's got to be more than 3.
That'd be a fun podcast. We have to somehow narrow it down to 3. So
Yeah.
I think that might be something that we could tease in future shows.
And we could do that easily just off of his commissioner days. Never mind when he worked in the,
100%.
under ceiling. All right, that's going to wrap things up for us today. Who do you think is going to be the first one to break? And what do you think about all the prospects that are in the minor leagues for us right now? Do you think that we're on point? Do you think that I'm being a little too cranky today? Or is the depth really going to help? So just remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out sportinarium.com/player on social media in the description. Wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.
And also, is it Arias or is it Arias? Put it in the comment section.